it's been a little while since I made my last video here, but I want to go through a few things, stuff that came in the mail. And I'm working on my COMC, and it's looking like $50+ for everything I want. Do I really want to do that or not? 20 of that is the shipping. That's crazy. So, I found about $30 worth of stuff and then paid $20 for shipping, boom, $50. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you're budgeting for the holidays, every $50 and $25 and $30 or whatever seems to be a lot of dollars. I was just down at the local thrift store buying a couple of things, and their credit card machine has been acting up. So, everybody has, issues, it eventually went through. But for the last couple of weeks it would work, then it wouldn't work, and then it would work, and then it wouldn't work, and very strange. Very strange. Found this in my collection here. I was going through things here because I don't necessarily need this. It's like, oh, but I damaged the package somehow. Must have squashed it or stepped on it. And then I was like, oh shoot, I must have broke the package because the pieces were falling out. But I thought these were all new. Maybe I had looked at it or something. I don't know, but I thought these were all new. But all the little Lord of the Rings pieces there have all been taken out of their baggies. So if I was going to use that for, a regifting, I would say regifting, but if I was going to, donate that to charity or something like that, I really couldn't do that because it's all complete from what I understand. I'll have to go through it, but there's no sense in me keeping the box. Maybe the instructions for the parts there, but no sense in keeping the box that is all damaged. I had a bunch of those that I bought years ago that I thought I was going to give people, but I never got around to it. They just got kind of left behind. So that's unfortunate. It's not a complete set there. I was hoping it would have been. But anyway, so let's get into a couple pieces of mail. And as I said, COMC, I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. I have lots of irons in the fire, things to get for people. And again, it gets kind of tight during the holidays. Here is a 29-cent envelope, which I added more stamps to that. Relatively recent one that I sent out from Phoenix, Arizona. And that was when the last stamp show, but as I mentioned, if I haven't already, my stamp show is going to be a few days before Christmas, which is very frustrating. It's like the day before the card show. So very frustrating that is. This one here was just a card I picked off from, I can't remember, that guy that sells all those millions of cards for next to nothing. I want to get another order into them. I can't think of their name right now, but autographed in. And sadly, this got a freaking crease. It's like all the cards that I have been sending out recently have just not come back in very good condition. I'm really disgusted because I picked out this Scott Cousins card here, and it's got a crease that goes all the way through the center and all the way through the center. He nicely signed it. And it probably got to him before it got creased because I don't know, it's destroyed. I don't have an access to another one of these cards here. It'll look okay in the binder, but oh my gosh. I'm not sure. I think it got caught in one of these creases here. And that stinks. That stinks, But again, it's my fault because I didn't protect it right there. But now I got some big packet from Alan Worthington of Birmingham, Alabama, and I think that's Al Worthington. I used an 84-cent stamp for whatever reason. That's what I had, so a little bit of extra postage there. It's really taped, and I have not opened it yet. These were really the only... I'm going to see what this is. Oh, just some sort of interest rate thing. I don't know what that is, but anyway... Oh, I had a really cool shirt to show you as well, too. I picked up at the thrift there for 50 cents. They do clothing for 50 cents at my local thrift store, and they sell some, but it doesn't go as fast as you would. Yeah, okay, so Al Worthington, I think I've got him years ago. So there's this one here, and I'm glad I put the extra postage on it, the 84 cents there. And then there's the Simple Plan of Salvation pamphlet that he sends out with people there. And then what I had done, and I wanted to say that I gave him some dollars. I'm not sure. I think I gave him some dollars here. And the card that I sent off, and I don't remember if that crease was in that card before, so it might be another creased card. There was one in there, but I think there might be a new one there. Might be a new crease, but it's an old card there. And he sends all kinds of crazy stuff there. Again, for whatever reason, I had a over postage, because it's 78 and 84 is pretty good. So there's the article about Mr. Worthington, and he's in his 90s, I want to say. There's an autographed Al Worthington sheet of paper there. As I said, I think I've got him before, but I don't know if he sent all of this crazy amount of stuff. And then He has sent a note here. So I don't know what this letter is. So some letter, he sends some religious message here. It says, "Dear Alan," and then "Blessings, Dom." So whatever that is, I haven't had a chance to read that one there. So that's very interesting. And I'll show you the card here. So 57 tops, and I think I threw in $5. And that crease, yeah, when I flex it back this way, the crease, I think, so that's a new one right there, I think. Right in there. You won't be able to see it, but right in there. I think that one, I believe, was already there. I'm pretty sure. At least one of those. But again, it's a card from my binder. This is why you don't pick up pristine cards there. You can go like years without having hardly a messed up card, and then you can go, weeks with having tons of messed up cards. So it's, weird how that works. So Al Worthington signed right there. Good signature for 90 plus years old or whatever it is. I think he's 92 if I'm not mistaken. But again, 57 tops is something you don't get very often, and I look every time COMC has a Black Friday or some sort of event to see if I could find under the radar, less than $1 57 tops cards. Now I'll show you some other things I picked up here. I had meant to get some stuff for anyway, but these are a couple of records here. Let me know. I should have started off with these. It looks like this is double-sided here. I don't know what this is. It says, "To Triumph dealers from Dick and Dee Dee. We're singing your song. Produced for Johnson Motors Incorporated by the Koblitz Company." Koblitz Company. And it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 jingles or something on there. And maybe, you never know, this could be like for radio commercials. I am not really sure. And there's a bunch of, lines there, so it's double-sided, but nothing on the back side there. These were 50 cents a piece. Very bad condition. I will try to listen, but it says "To Triumph dealers." And the only Triumph that I know is a motorcycle. So we don't know, you don't know, and probably I don't know what that is. Then I got this one, and it's kind of beat up on the edges here, but I think the information is still good. And this is and I have to look this up here, it's metal. It's a metal disc here. So I don't know if that's a test pressing or a master or what the heck this is. It's a metal disc here. And this is Philips. It's a pre-production copy is what it says. So I tried looking up what a pre-production copy is, and I don't really know. But it was in a stack of really beat up 45s at this thrift store that have been there forever. I reorganized it and left the really dirty box with all the broken pieces at the bottom so they can clean that up. They walk by that and never clean it up, so I don't know. But this is, oh my gosh, the label has gotten kind of grease stained or something, and so it's kind of like, it's got a grease, you look at it, it's kind of got a greasy look to it. So whatever happened there. But it's on Philips. And it says, Hill and Range. I think it says Hill and Range Songs Incorporated. Breakin' Berry Music. And then 45. It says, "Mother dear, I've got a silly daughter." Or "You've got a silly daughter." And then it says Sharon Black there. So I have no idea who Sharon Black is. And "Mother, you've got a silly daughter." That's probably very, 60s era country. I really have maybe even the 70s. Really, that's probably what that is. But, so maybe whoever got this was a small time, but it's on Philips, which is a bigger name there, so I have no clue what that is. Absolutely no clue. And then my bill only came out to a few dollars for everything, so I said, let's just tack on some postcards here. So this is the San Diego Zoo postcard there. I said that's not a good pit to land in. Why they always euthanize the animal instead of the human that was stupid enough to fall in there. Then we have alligator Alcatraz here. I'm not sure what that is there, but there is a hungry alligator in Florida. Then we've got some sort of sternwheeler here. Dexter Decor prints. So those are meant to be supposedly framed. Then we have this one here, which is the biggest new entertainment of the year, Life. And this is I Was in Cinerama. So that's kind of a fun one. People like to have those like movie type postcards here. Kentucky chapter since 1792. This is Homeland Security. Don't really know what that is. Again, it's a postcard that's never been used. And then we have, this one is kind of beat to ribbons here, the Oregon Zoo. So I just save Oregon postcards, and then if I choose to send them out, I do. That's a dual purpose type thing there. And then for a whopping $2, I don't know what this would have cost me at the Goodwill bin store, but it would probably been a lot because this is super heavy. But for $2, I got a whole pile of random size and multicolored envelopes here. So any greeting cards that are missing envelopes, anything I need to mail out and stuff that's weird sized, you know, that fit these weird postcards. See, this postcard would be too big for an 8 whatever, the, you know, a number 10 business envelope or whatever it is. So then these would come in handy for that. And I'm always needing those, and having so many of those is great. So for a whopping $2, I took it, and that was good. Like I said, you know, I was like, well, I got $2.50 here. I can't put that on my card. And so I said, well, I'll get those 2 records there. That's $3.50. And then there's something else I bought for $1, which is not in here. And then those postcards is like, wow, I made it to $7.50. That's great. So there was that one there. And any other anecdotes or things I have before the holidays, you know, arrive in a few days here. Just checking my time on my camera here. I got plenty of time here. I wanted to maybe show you something here if I can get to it here. What I wanted to do here is go to COMC. And again, unfortunately, I got re-tricked into COMC because I'm finding all kinds of, you know, interesting new things to get. You know, so somebody like Shoebox Legends likes to show his buybacks. And I was like, oh no, I didn't look at buybacks. And I have to make sure that this makes sense to me, because I was buying just some basic set build cards. You know, they were in the 27 odd cent range there, and then they're almost doubling, you know, because of the additional shipping there. It's like, do I really want to spend 50 cents on this card here? So, you know, that doubles my cost there. So, you know, 20 cards that are 27, 26 cents a piece or whatever the cheapest ones are right now, then that doubles that. I think, oh man, do I just want to wait? But see, there's not going to be any other websites. And I'm looking at cards there, and eBay can be really expensive, and there's a few cards on eBay that are only like $1 or $2, and it's like, oh, I should get that. You know, I would be no closer to set. If for some reason I thought, you know what, I'm just looking at buybacks here. I'm looking at the holiday buybacks, and they're kind of expensive. Nolan Arenado for $1.90 is actually a pretty good deal. And then every other card here is at least $4 or $5 there. But, you know, like, so if I wanted to get interested in the new Scooby-Doo set, or the new-ish Scooby-Doo set, you know, was it came out last year or this year? I don't really remember. And I'm seeing cards and numbered things. It's like, oh, you know, that'd be a good one to grab. And then I look on COMC eBay to see if that card there. It's funny how some of them are not there and some of them are there. They're a little bit more, but if you just buy one card, it's only $3 for shipping. I said, you know what? I might get that one, but I couldn't find that particular version or parallel on there. I was like, oh man, COMC has every other card on the entire planet, you know, they're on eBay dually listed, and they didn't have this one. I was like, oh man, this stinks. You know, because I thought maybe I would just, you know, get a couple cards there and make it, you know, just like a $5 or $10, you know, instead of a $50 COMC. 90% of the cards that I was picking out for Black Friday have been on the website for at least a year or more. At the very least. They have just not moved. They're not in anybody's wish list or want list or wheelhouse. And the only newer ones there, you know, and again, it's kind of ridiculous because you would just tack on, you know, like a 40-cent card, and then you knew exactly it was going to be 40 cents. And then, like I said, my order was zooming up to $20 shipping, which it really should not be a big deal. But, you know, I want my cards to make sense. You know, and if I sold them, I might make sense. I wouldn't make dollars, I'd make cents on the dollar, and that's really not great. In fact, funny thing is I saw this really cool piggy bank at the store. It's like, piggy bank? That's dumb. Who's going to need that anymore? Now that, I mean, I guess you could hoard your pennies, but I just thought it was so ridiculous, penny banks, or piggy banks anymore. So, I almost bought that for a whopping $3. Again, I just... You know, when I buy things, I have to figure out where it's going to go, who's going to get it, and if they do happen to get it, can they take it, you know, wherever they need to with them without having getting broken. So I don't like to buy a lot of fragile stuff for myself or people if I don't have to. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Again, I have plenty of letters to mail out, and it's just kind of fun seeing what kind of stamps get canceled and which ones don't there. Just a whole bunch of 3 centers. I had a whole sheet of those that got damaged, and because the sheet was so thin or old that the stamp started to, unperforate, and I was like, oh great, then I might as well just use them as a sheet, and I think that's exactly what happened. And then the 1-cent stamps just have to go. It's funny. Now, I talked to a Goodwill employee, and I can't remember, but I think they're rounding down now instead of rounding up because they said they didn't want to steal from customers. Steal from customers, Goodwill. Oh, man. That's crazy. So that's what some people are doing. They're rounding down and rounding up instead of a what have you. So if they're paying by cash, I think is what they were doing. If they were doing card, I think card is card. I'm not 100% sure how that was working out, but yeah, it's just still quite the process for people to figure these things out. Maybe the next administration said it was dumb to get rid of the penny. We figured out a way to do it and bring it back. Don't know. It could happen. It really could happen. Nothing really ends until it 100% ends. The stamps could change next year. Stamps could be one of those things where, well, we are, devaluing all of the ancient stamps from the beginning of time, and so you only have a limited amount of time to use them. Just like the UK when they have to go to use the King Charles stamps. If you try to use Queen Elizabeth stamps there, you're not going to be able to. So it didn't matter if I had access to tons of vintage Queen Elizabeth stamps, and then now basically that seller is out money. And I'm out money because there were a few people that would buy them for that particular reason, because they couldn't get them overseas, so they just went and bought them and used them for their projects. But otherwise, they're worthless if they don't have a dual purpose, only single purpose, then they go into that pile of it's just another postage stamp that doesn't have any money attached to it. I always like to buy stamps that have a dual purpose. If I choose like these ones here, I chose not to keep those as collectibles. I chose to use them in my collection. I mean, on my envelope. I chose to use them on my envelope. As I said, the stamp show is going to be ridiculous because the stamp and the card show just before Christmas. If for some reason I found some sort of present type thing there for a YouTube person or whatever, then I wouldn't be able to gift that to them until the next year. And it's kind of a frustrating time right now. I guess it gives me more time to kind of gather up my finances and sort of thing and sort through things here. That's probably what I'm going to be doing this week, is trying to get some more stuff sorted and organized here. And, trying to get rid of the big stuff, and it's just not easy. But, I repurpose everything. I just used a record cover and some old pages out of a book, and I used them as packing material for an item to ship off somewhere. And so that is, and people think it's funny the weird packing I use. But lastly, I will end off with this here. I need some information on these two types of records here. The Triumph Dealers record here, I don't know what that is. We're Singing Your Song. So I have a feeling it's commercial or radio jingles there. And then this one here, don't know. But if you know anything about these metal discs here, I don't mind touching this one too much because it's got, I'm going to see if I can play it. I need to know if I'm allowed to play this on my turntable. I don't want to wreck my, stylus or whatever like that, because it just, but it's just interesting because this pre-production copy could actually be the only one out there. So it's possible that they made this copy for the particular person to listen to and say, hey, guess what? And I don't know who Sharon Black is. I tried to look that up on Discogs and found maybe who that is. I will do some homework on that one. Thank you, Mr. Worthington. I'm glad you liked the $5 I sent you. And hope everybody has a great holiday week, and thank you for watching.